Welcome back to another video. If you are new to my channel, my name is Holly, and on this channel, I discuss narcissism, narcissistic abuse, abstinence, and from time to time, I do deviate from the topics at hand, and I discuss topics that are of interest to me. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the reality of being a woman who knows her worth. The reality of being a woman with exceptionally high standards. A woman who knows her worth is a rare find. A woman who has high standards is a rare find. Most women don't have standards, and most women do not know their worth. And this is the reason why narcissistic abuse is at an all-time high. It is at an all-time high. This is the reason why most women are in narcissistically abusive relationships, one-sided relationships, situationships. They are in relationships that are not serving them. This is the reason why domestic violence, more specifically, narcissistic abuse is at an all-time high because women do not know their worth. They are settling. They have no standards. I've been there. I've been in a narcissistically abusive relationship. 5 years ago, I was narcissistically discarded. I am narc-free, toxic-free, been abstinent for over 5 years. I have not dated since then. And quite frankly, I'm probably not going to be dating, at least not anytime soon. Especially the men in my state, because the men in my state, most of them are narcissists. Most of them are in their toxic masculinity. So the reality of being a woman who knows her worth, the reality of being a woman who has high standards, is that most of these birds out here are not going to measure up to your standards. You are better off being single. You are better off being single because most of these men out here are not going to come nowhere near. They are just not going to meet your standards. Most of them. Very few men will meet your standards. So this is something you need to be aware of going into this, especially, if you have been in a narcissistically abusive relationship. Like myself, you have done the work, you have healed, and now you worked on yourself, and now you are a woman who knows her worth, and you know what your standards are, you know what you're looking for, and you're not going to settle. Unfortunately, you're on the opposite end of the spectrum, whereas most women are on the other end of the spectrum. They are getting into relationships quickly. They can get narcissistically discarded tomorrow and have a man a month later. But when you are a woman who knows her worth, for example, like me, I was narcissistically discarded 5 years ago. And 5 years later, I'm still single, not because I'm not attractive, not because I can't get a man. I can get a man. Men approach me all the time. Men ask for my number all the time. I reject men. Men don't reject me. I reject men. I can get a man if I wanted a man, but I know my worth. I know what I'm looking for. I have standards. So most of these birds out here, they don't qualify for a woman like me. Not trying to sound cocky. I just know my worth, and I know what I've been through, and I am not going to tolerate a narcissistically abusive relationship. And I'm not going to allow a narcissist to come into my life because I know that's the kind of men that are out here in these streets. Most of the men out here are narcissists. So, I realize that, I'm better off being single, because especially if you are, if you are a woman who knows your worth, you're better off being single. At least until you meet the right person, because most of these men are just not going to come nowhere near meeting your standards. Not even one. Yeah, they might be attractive, but, attractiveness is the last thing I'm looking for. Yes, I want to, my man to be attractive. I want to be, physically attractive to him. But, some of my standards, I will not date a man who drinks and smokes. Most men drink and smoke. In fact, most men smoke marijuana. I am not going to allow a man in my life who has tattoos. And also, another one of my standards, I'm not going to be dating a man who does not have a strong relationship with God. Most men don't know God, and they don't even have a relationship with God. I don't care if a man can quote Bible scriptures. That doesn't mean that he knows God. Anybody can memorize a Bible scripture and say it on cue, but that don't mean that he knows his purpose. That don't mean that, he is a righteous man, that he is a godly man. He's just a man that can quote a Bible scripture on cue. So most of these men out here, don't know God. They don't know their purpose. They're not godly men. And I'm also not going to allow a man in my life or date a man that's not abstinent. Most men are fornicating. Most men are playing the field. Most men are having sex, casual sex, so that's why I wanted to come on here and put this video out on my YouTube channel. If you know your worth and you have high standards, keep your high standards, keep your standards high. Don't settle. Do not settle, because if you settle, you are going to be in a narcissistically abusive relationship. You're going to be with a man, a bottom of the barrel type of guy, a man who is, not going to respect you, not going to love you. He's just going to abuse you. He's not going to value you. So if you know your worth, you're better off single, for at least for now. Your standards is going to keep you single for a long while, because most men are not going to measure up. It's going to be like a needle in a haystack kind of thing. Not saying that you're never going to find your person. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the higher your standards are, the more you weed out, men who are not the one. The lower your standards are, the more you are basically settling. The lower your standards are, the more you are going to settle. The higher your standards are, you're going to attract better, into your life. So, don't get jealous of these women out here who got a man or are getting married, because most women who are in relationships, most women who are married, they're not happy. They are not with their person. They settled. Finding the right person, finding your match is not something that happens overnight. You will know when you meet your person. God will confirm it to you. You will feel that deep connection with that person. You will know when you met the man that God has for you. But right now, most of these men out here, no, they're not the one. So be prepared, to be single for a while, because as long as you know your worth and you have standards, that is going to keep you single, because most men are just not going to measure up to your standards. So that's all I wanted to say in this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next upload.